Number 12. Floating farms. As the world's population continues to grow, one of the biggest problems we face right now is how to produce enough food to satisfy everyone's needs. Amazingly, an estimated 30% of the global land surface is dedicated to agriculture, and a third of that is used for crops, and the remaining two-thirds is used for grazing livestock. And this not only restricts the potential areas for inhabitation, but also encourages large-scale deforestation and habitat change to create more farmland. Some companies are looking for alternatives to this, and while you may have heard of vertical farms that look to improve the yield for the same size plot of land, others are looking at far more radical solutions. One is the idea of floating farms, which can involve building huge complexes that sit on the surface of the ocean, can be moved to where they're needed, and crucially are temporary. They make use of areas that wouldn't be used for anything else and turn it into a profitable commodity. Incredibly, one of these has already been in operation for several years in the port of Rotterdam in the Netherlands, where a company called Belladon has built a floating platform designed to farm 40 Muse-Rhine-Issel cows that are all milked by robots. By producing the product as close to the end consumers as possible, they're reducing transport costs too. And they also plan to be able to install floating farms in regions that have suffered from disasters to get food production up and running far quicker than would otherwise be possible. Number 11. Edge computing. The way we use computers has changed significantly in the past few decades, and so has the way technology is designed to give us the best service. At first, everything was done on a singular device in our homes, and now we mainly use cloud computing, whereby most activities from our emails to documents and virtually everything else is held online, and our devices are essentially windows that grant us access to this. The problem with cloud computing, however, is that most companies rely on the infrastructure of just a few cloud providers: Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and IBM, with Amazon alone accounting for 47% of the market. Quite simply, everything that can be moved onto the cloud has pretty much been done so already, and there's very little room to grow in that space. So others have been looking at the so-called edge of the cloud. What this really means is that they're exploring ways to bring the processing and storage of the cloud geographically closer to where the user is in order to improve the experience. Rather than just relying on a few data centers, it will see more work done locally, and the idea is that this will significantly reduce latency, will also improve privacy and security, and will help reduce the bandwidth being used so the infrastructure doesn't buckle under the pressure of increased usage. In many ways, it may seem as if it's going back on the idea of cloud computing, but it's really harnessing it to fuller effect. If fingerprint or facial authorization is dealt with directly by your smartphone rather than waiting for a server to reply, you'll be able to access your online content much easier. Similarly, self-driving cars are currently the best example of edge computing. Rather than waiting for a server's response, it can function independently, but at the same time needs to be centrally controlled so it's automatically updated, and so the algorithms can be improved.